Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 127 of the F.Reality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube and on Twitch. We've actually stopped pushing the show live to Facebook, so we're just going to probably just upload whole episodes of the show to Facebook in the future, so something to be aware of if Facebook is your platform of choice. But don't forget, you can also catch the show live in VR using big screen TV. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Spotify. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Of course, now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, this guy loves nothing more than to squeeze himself into a cupboard-sized space and get super hot. It's my Dutch brother from another mother, Snathie. How you doing?
Yeah, dude, super hot indeed. Right, that's my jam.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah.
It's a lot of people are concerned about you right now, right?
True. About you mean the boo flu?
Yes,
that's true. Yeah. Since I've been in China, everyone is scared of me. So it's gonna take a while before that goes away. But it's fine. I work from home anyways, so you don't have to be scared of me. The videos.
He's in his own quarantine.
The videos get uploaded over the internet, and there is no virus involved with that at all, as far as I know.
Yeah, but a lot of your audience are commenting about the concerns about you, right?
Yeah, they are very concerned that some people already think I died. These are last videos that just went up. That someone else is doing it for me. And next to that, people are constantly warning me that it might be, somewhere in my eyeballs, or I don't know. It's these strange comments.
I love nice how this gets very scientific right from the get-go. Yeah. I think he has coronavirus in his eyeballs. What?
Well, how? Rowdy, welcome to the internet, my friend.
Yeah. He did wear a Vive in China, so
Yes,
that's why.
That's why. Yeah.
But glad to know that you're safe and well. It's nice. It's nice that you've got an audience that are concerned, at least.
That's true. Yeah, in a funny way. Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, this guy was blowing up Reddit this week with his escapades in the Bayou, playing The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Say howdy to Rowdy. It's Rowdy VR. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing all right, dude. Yeah, it's been a crazy week for me, especially since I started a new channel and things went really fast all of a sudden. I didn't expect it like that. I had a very fun video out. I had a lot of fun in Saints and Sinners. I already talked about it a couple of episodes, so probably won't do that again. But yeah, I'm doing fine. It's pretty cold here. It's like winter has just started. I don't know really why. Still wearing a t-shirt, but I'm a bit chilly. But yeah, I'm doing all right.
Good to hear it. Yeah, and just a reminder, that Rowdy has got a new channel now. It's Rowdy VR, right? So go check it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Next up, arguing over whose turn it is next to cook dinner in the Zimtok household is always a bit, dangerous. Generally ends up in a sword fight to the death. In VR, of course. VR streamer, Zimtok 5. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, that's how we settle our disputes. I was going to say, does anyone here have a number for domestic violence hotline? I need one because I've been taking a whooping from my wife, who's also a big gamer. And actually, the sad truth is she was a gamer long before me. There's a picture of her sitting down in front of a television, with a gamepad in her hands when she was 2. And I think I had my first Super Nintendo, I think, was the first system my brother and I bought. I was 8 or 9. I didn't get the jump for quite a few years, but we've been enjoying our little duels in Quest streams. So those have been lots of fun. And Mike's alluding to Iron Lights, which you got to play, and I'll talk about that in a minute or two. But good week. But it's just fun to be plowing into something. Again, I tend to tinker a lot and try to fix all the little bits and pieces. And I think it was a very nice thing this week to get on with Oculus support and actually get fantastic support. I was like, nah, when you ever go to a support center, you're like, oh God, you allocate 45 minutes of your life just for waiting. And when you get immediate support from someone knowledgeable, it's like, what just happened? It feels weird. So it doesn't happen often. And I have to give a thumbs up to them. They've done a good job at servicing me this week, and hopefully they'll find a way to break through the problem that I've been having, which is with Oculus Social and two people connected on the same network, having a bit of a warbly sound coming up in the audio. And we've got a few things we're testing, us and them, so we'll see if we can fix that. If we can, we'll report it back here.
Nice. Good to hear it. Good to hear it that you're having fun as well, with your wife Karen playing these streams together. And it's great to hear that she's whipping your ass as well.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. On average, she beats me, which is sad, but I think I'm still better at Arizona Sunshine, so we'll probably do that next.
Yeah, so next week Karen's going to be on the show, actually. So anyway, last but by no means least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got an awesome show for you today. Some of the highlights include some new DLC for both Pistol Whip and Beat Saber, including something interesting from Elon Musk. There's going to be... We're going to be talking about a company working on remotely controlling a robot avatar using VR called Tele-Existence, which is super interesting. Looking forward to talking about that. Zim's going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases to look forward to next week. And then finally, we're going to be discussing the newly announced Lynx headset, which boasts both VR and AR capability in a single standalone headset. So very interesting indeed. But first, let's find out what everyone's been up to this week, the highlight of the week. And first up, let's pass it over to Zim first, maybe to talk about Iron Lights, if that's going to be your highlight.
If it's not, then is it not my turn?
I'll let you go with it. Either way.
It's fine. It's going to be Iron Lights anyway. I liked Iron Lights. Iron Lights, for those who don't know, is an upcoming Quest game. It's going to launch in spring, is what Mr. McNeil has said. E. McNeil. He actually developed a game which is it's so different from the kind of strategy games he's done before. Things like Astraeus and Darknet was the reason that I knew him, and he reached out and he was like, hey, you guys want a copy of this? You want to play? And I was like, absolutely, let's give it a shot. Because I'd seen it teased, and I saw the Kickstarter, which is going down, might actually be finished, but it maybe has a day or two left. But there's a Kickstarter up for the game. You can back it for $15 or whatever. But it's basically an arena-based fighting game. And I think the coolest thing when you first play Iron Lights, like my wife and I have been doing, is you have these like stages, like very gladiatorial arena, and then they float up in a real comfortable way, which I was surprised at, but like real comfortable, like snap together like two halves of a circle. And then in very anime-esque style, your sword flies down to your hand, and then you fight. And you fight in like two different ways. So you fight far away, and you fight up close, like melee combat. And I think one of the things that like people will expect from the game, and will be their first like plate shatter, will be that the melee combat isn't like fast-paced, like just waggle fest. It isn't that way. In fact, the faster-paced combat is back away from each other when you're doing things like arrow shots, or if you've got the big blade, you can draw a blade down and it does like a line attack that like soars through your opponent and they have to block it by shielding themselves. That's like they have a really great like anime vibe to the whole thing. And then when you get close, it's like slow down, like super hot style slow down. And so it's player v player. Are
you supposed to get close, or does it happen automatically? Do you do that yourself?
Yeah, you trigger it. So you basically, if you imagine like pulling a rope, you hold down a button and you pull, or you hold down the button and push to kind of go backwards. But you've got like a stamina, so you'll only last, even if you're fully charged up, you only last like 10 seconds with the other player. And the interesting strategic element of it is, if I'm launching an attack, say I pull in against Mike, right? Mike's there, I've approached him, I can attack, he can defend my attacks, but he can't damage me. So he has to, it's like I'm assaulting, and he has to defend. And so every swing that I make, I have to at least draw behind my head. So say, like I've got a sword out, I'm gonna use this pencil as my sword. I pull it back here, I draw it in front of me to try and strike him, he blocks it, it'll go ghosted, and I have to kind of recharge it by putting it behind my head again and swing again. And so I have to keep kind of coming at him from different angles or psyching him out and then doing a strike. And because they've got like a rapier, which you can poke with, they've got like a proper...
a what?
A rapier.
Okay. I thought you said something different. That's
I have the same problem, actually. Sorry. Yeah, but go on.
Jesus, you guys. So they've got a whole selection of like 5 different classes, all different weapons and different kind of defense mechanisms. Really neat. I'd recommend checking out like footage of the game. And that dynamic, like the first thing I felt was like disappointment. My wife was the exact same. She's like, why is it slow? And then After you play it a few times, it's like that's actually the whole mechanic that I think the game is founded on. Like that's the fun of it, because you have to find a way into striking the other person. Like I was just, I was saying, going for a headshot, and my wife's like, "You're not shooting my head." I was like, "I'm not going to tell my opponent where I'm shooting." And it's just fantastic. I mean, she ended up actually again kicking my ass at that one too, but which doesn't say much for me as a man. But that's all right. So she won boss of the house. We actually had a fight to determine who was the boss of the house, and she actually won that one. So that was my low light of the week.
I'm actually like really curious how the dev is going to sell this game to people, because let's say from the perspective of not playing it, it doesn't look that exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, when you play it, it's totally different.
I think they're.
It looks slow. It looks very slow.
Yeah, the trailer, that's the thing. The kind of up close combat, people are like, wow, that doesn't look as exciting as a trailer. But all I can say is, and this is very true about Go and Quest games, I've found, is that when you're playing them and you're in VR, the impression of speed or excitement is amplified. And with this game, it is no different. I think they did the lighting in the arenas really well. It's super smooth. There's no bugs, so to speak. There's a few feature things that they hadn't implemented yet. But for those who Kickstarter it up to a certain level, I think they're going to get access to this build. And basically, you just put a code in. Like I come up with a password. I give it to Mike, and we can just play. And it's the nicest thing about it. And I was like, wow, this is quite ingenious. There aren't that many games that just focus on like one-to-one combat. And it solves that problem. Things like Racket Fury or Racket NX solve this, because it's like you don't need 20 people to have a multiplayer match. You just need one other human. And so it means even if the game wasn't getting a lot of attention, you'd still have the ability to connect, So that's why I'm excited for it, for the Quest, because I really think it's going to be a very engaging multiplayer experience for people who are maybe on their own with a Quest and just need to hook up with a stranger. So.
Yeah. And the game is also going to be coming out for Rift and Steam VR as well.
Yeah.
But I think Nathan made a good point there about the way it looks, because I felt the same way as well when I watched the trailer. I think this is one of those games that would really benefit from live support, especially with the armor around you. And if that armor disintegrates or falls off, if you were watching a stream and you saw the real person and their armor falling off after getting hit with a sword
or something, yeah,
that would make it look a bit more exciting.
One feature I got to mention for creators, which is really cool, is the game allows you to capture a replay after the fact of the match you just had. So if you had a really good battle and you want to save it and watch it back later, but then you can also GIF export a clip of that straight to Giphy, and you have control of like the camera rotating around the two actors,
nice.
High, low, slow, fast. And so it makes it really easy to spread the word about the game, which is
cool.
A feature that I really like, and I think that was smart.
Yeah, that's interesting. But particularly with Live, they've got the tools already with their avatar system to have armor that gets shattered and falls off bodies. So, it'd be good if they linked up and did that, I think.
Good idea.
But nice little suggestion, though.
Yeah,
what about you then, Rowdy? What have you been up to this week, dude?
Yeah, I haven't played anything like new and exciting. I did dove a little bit back into Pavlov. But this week, what I've been mostly doing is working on the video of GTA 5, which I talked about last week. And I know that Mike is probably going to talk about it a little bit later on, so I'm not gonna delve into any details. And then I also dove one short session I had in the forest. It was one of the games I haven't tried in VR yet, but for some reason I haven't encountered any of the scary part yet. So I've just been like chopping trees and like I've done it with multiplayer. I do like a lot that it's multiplayer. So I went in there with Chris and with WackyCast, and we had a lot of fun just messing around in the forest. But I haven't encountered anything that is like even remotely scary. And I was like, is this game supposed to be scary? So I think that the difficulty is set like too low or something. But I need to figure that one still out.
Oh,
but it's a fun game though.
It'll happen. It'll come.
Oh yeah. Although I had a few. This is the first time I encountered it in a game that it has, for the VR settings, it has an audio driver setting. So in the game itself, you can select the audio driver that it exports to. And for me, it didn't auto-select, the Windows default standard one, but it selected, I think, like my Yeti microphone is like it's like an export audio source. So for the first 1 hour and 25 minutes, I was trying to figure out why my audio wasn't working in the game. So that was my first 1 hour and 25 minutes, and afterwards I realized that there was a setting in the VR menu only that specifically instructs that there is a driver selection.
That's probably to get around the original. You remember when like people had like the Rift and stuff, and they wanted to get the audio not to the headset? Yeah, I bet you that's why.
So. But it's weird that it doesn't like auto select, at least for me, not the Windows default. But if there are other people who have played the Force and encountered that problem, then it's likely related to that.
Yeah. Old game now, though. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. But I saw that recently Bowl, fan of the show, friend of the channel, had played it this week with a friend, and he'd actually completed it with a friend as well. So, and he was one of those people that said it was a worthwhile experience. It's something that I haven't tried yet myself. So,
yeah, if let's say if you follow the storyline, it's you can finish it pretty fast, because the open world itself at the start of course feels very big, but it's not crazy big, the island you are on.
Nice. Would you recommend it then, Zim, as a sort of
yeah, it's good. I mean, like the only thing that I would say is like the introduction, you come off the plane and stuff, the controls feel pretty janky at the start. I think Ratty would say that, like, they feel pretty like 2016 or 2015 dated.
And the camera angles, like, I mean, we talked about like the camera angles in GTA 5 last week, how they fixed it with the cutscenes, but even though this has VR support, like, it's really not better. Like, all of a sudden you're like out of your body, you're looking down on yourself, and like I'm like, what's going on? And like
the menu's weird, right? Like the
menu is weird.
The menu is basically a tarp or a blanket laid out in front of you, like if you're a camper and you have all your things. So you can actually see like the meat chunks you've picked up, or rocks or sticks or whatever. It's kind of neat to see it that way, but it is also kind of weird. So it definitely gets a recommendation from me if you've got at least one other person to experience it with. If you're doing it on your own, I think the bugs and the kind of awkward pieces of it will stand out too much.
Yeah, also it took me about 25 minutes in order to find the settings menu, because I didn't know it was on the the thing that I lay out. So I was looking in my journal, because I would say like the journal is a logical place. You know, I've played a ton of VR games. You always put it in the journal, and for some reason it's a laptop that I brought to the island. Like, how the heck? Like, there's a laptop that's in my that frustrated me for a good 25 minutes.
Wow.
Well, at least like there's a new one coming out later.
There is?
There is. There's a trailer.
Forest 2, the Sons of the Forest. Sons of the Forest is what it's called. Looks amazing. And the thing is, it's like, please bring VR support.
From the get-go.
Have they announced anything about that?
No, they haven't. But it looks... They did show some first-person stuff, so I mean, I'm gonna guess that it's gonna come.
If it does come to VR, we should actually do a podcast in the forest, and we do it around this campfire until it derails. We keep talking until the crazy people start attacking us.
Just last man standing.
Especially because Nathy hates horror stuff, so it'd be worth watching it for that alone. But what about you then, Nathy? What have you been up to this week?
Yes, so let's first dive into the chat.
Sure.
We have Watto UK, who still has problems on PC. Like, I'm not sure if you still remember, but he tried to install The Walking Dead a few times and other games, and the gigabytes were flying to like this wormhole and things like that. So he played Asgard's Wrath on Link, but he had to restart the game from the beginning as his save game was crashing the game on startup. Happens to the best, but he also played Elite Dangerous and Assetto Corsa on the Pimax. That's actually if you do have a Pimax and you play racing games or flying sims, it's amazing. Then we have Eric Hartley, who went back to some classics. Lone Echo 2. No, sorry, Lone Echo 1.
I was gonna say early access.
No,
nice.
it's the first one. Dang it, I said something I wasn't allowed to say. Damage score. Ooh man, that's brave.
Damage score, Jesus.
Hey, remember 9.5 nearly masterpiece by Upload VR. There we go.
That was their biggest mistake ever, I think.
That's true.
Then we have Dave the Psycho, who was badly sick this week. Wasn't me. He only played Asgard's Wrath and The Walking Dead per usual. So if you're sick, there's still a certain amount of games. There's like a bundle to it when you're sick.
Sick bundle.
Yeah. Then we have GNVRS Gaming. He played Aircar for the first time and found a favorite Beat Saber song in there.
What?
So,
in Aircar?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I'm reading here.
Interesting. I mean, Aircar is that like free demo, which is a very technological future, which feels a lot like what's that Harrison Ford film, Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good if you haven't tried it before. It will last you 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's
Can also be quite intense as well.
Yeah. Don't do it as your first VR experience.
And then last but not least, gaming science teacher. Highlight for me has been big screen cinema. Saw Ghost in the Shell and it was great. Also, loving Audica.
I watched the latest episode on the podcast. Missed opportunity there, my friend.
Okay.
I want the support to come here. My wife and I are just like waiting for like a good. If anyone's keeping tabs on it, please shout because I do want to try that. I do want to pay for a film and watch it together side by side, but like the European releases have been kind of neutered.
Yeah, the best way to check them out is to go to bigscreenvr.com and check out the show times. I know they're running a horror week this week, but yeah, it's generally only one out of the 4 movies that generally tend to be able to be shown in the UK.
But like a shout to Big Screen if you're listening, I do want there to be some kind of alert mechanism where I can be like, for that type of content, tell me when you're subscribing, like a newsletter or just something, push notification, because like I don't have time to keep checking their website.
Yeah, newsletter would be a good thing. I'm pretty sure they have one. I'll have to double check. But yeah, nice. So what about you then, Nathan? What have you been up to?
Not much. I of course I worked on some videos I made in China. One of them being something that you mentioned at the start, going to this public VR booth. Like you have, those red telephone booths in England, right?
Yeah.
But then imagine you don't call in it, but you can play VR in it instead. I made this little video of me playing Super Hot in there, talking about it maybe being able to help us getting closer to VR, getting more mainstream, since these VR booths are completely public, are open 24/7, and you can find them in, just areas in a city. So usually you have to pay to get inside somewhere to experience VR, but this is all just on the outside. So if you want to play a VR game at night, you can. It's up to you. And they had this awesome library from Beat Saber to Pistol Whip, Space Pirate Trainer, Super Hot. All of the big games were present in that machine. So it's really nice, and it's a great opportunity for developers to not only create an extra source of income, but it's also a good way to promote your new titles, because people try. They're like, wow, have you heard about that? You can play it on the corner of the street. And if you are a vendor, let's say you have a supermarket or you have whatever store, you can put it in front and make some money. Like the one I showed on my video, they made around like $800 every month of that. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Like, is that after like paying like for like the resources? Because like if you buy like, for example, like a Steam license, you can do that for like certain types of games in order to show that to This is more like an arcade license, right? Yeah.
This was on an official license. This was like an actual library that you rent in a way.
Was there anything interesting in that library? Or just
there were some strange bootleg games in there too that I never heard of. But let's say Beat Saber and those titles were definitely the ones I would have gone for. But the funny part was that on the outside was this big TV screen with trailers on there, but they were playing trailers of games that you couldn't play. But on the other side, I mean, that's marketing as well. Yeah. But you had like all these like fancy trailers from, let's say, last year on there.
So almost like none of the trailers I saw on there were the games you could actually play. Well, I mean, if you put Superhot on there, I think it's fine, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know where they got it from.
It was so funny when I was watching the video and I saw the guy there, and he was showing how small it was because he could touch both sides of the booth by stretching his arms out, and I was like having flashbacks to my old play space downstairs.
I mean, your play space would actually be even smaller.
It would. That's true.
Machine. But yeah, super interesting stuff. So that's what I have been working on, and I also played some GTA, of course.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to try the new update, and it's really nice. It works really well. And go ahead, Mike. Bless us with some more juiciness.
Yeah. So GTA was my highlight this week. We talked about it on last week's show about the mod being updated. Nathan had checked it out before, said it was legit, but the new mod had improved like cutscenes and animations getting in and out of vehicles and aiming down weapons and stuff like that. So I thought, well, now's a good time to check it out. So big disclaimer, it's not perfect by any means. It doesn't allow you to use motion controls like we mentioned in last week's show. Yeah. And you do also get this kind of ghosting effect. And a lot of people were, complaining about this ghosting effect. And basically, it's one of those things because the mod renders the game in VR using alternate eye rendering. So that's why you get this kind of ghosting effect sometimes when cars go by and stuff like that.
Sorry, is it like, can you describe, is like all pixels? Is it like back in the day when you had a bad gray to gray time on a monitor and you would like turn and it would like drag the pixels over like that?
Not that bad. It's not like, it is noticeable, but like I quickly forget about it when I'm in it because I'm just having fun. If you've got a Valve Index and you can pump up the frame rate to 144 hertz, apparently that can improve it, but I was running the game at 90 hertz and not having any issues. So you have to use a control pad, no game motion controls, and you do get this ghosting a little bit as well, particularly noticeable in darker scenes at night. But with all that said, I had a brilliant time with it. Like, Los Santos in VR is actually pretty breathtaking.
It is.
I drove a bunch of different cars. I flew planes. I swam in the sea. I rode jet skis, roller coasters. It was actually the jet skis out of everything that made me feel really rough. And this is another big caveat I'll throw out there that I wouldn't recommend this for VR newcomers. It's quite intense.
Yeah. The whole thing or just the jet skis?
The whole thing in general is pretty intense. I would say.
I did notice that if you drive like the quad and you drive over people, which I did a lot, like it throws you back into the third person often.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you noticed that. So
no.
That's also something that you like. If you're not, I mean, I didn't get motion sick at all, but I can imagine people who get like that. Like I think it's like a kill cam or something like that.
Like, did you feel anything?
Drive over someone? Me?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't think so. I told you guys, murderous spirit, this one.
Yeah. So like for me, it was just the jet skis that made me feel motion sick because the sea that I was riding on was really choppy. Like when I was riding the jet skis on like the canals and stuff before, which was smooth, it was fine. But on rough, choppy seas, it literally makes you feel like seasick.
Yeah. But the thing is, Mike would probably really get sick on a jet ski if he was on the sea.
Exactly.
Possibly.
Mike's got a pretty sensitive stomach. That's why I was really curious. It's like, so do you attribute the sickness to the vertical motion on the water, or is it, or do you think, like, were you feeling sick from the ghosting at all?
No, nothing else. It was only the jet ski that got me.
Okay.
And I played it for like 3 hours. So,
but let's say controlling boats in GTA, even if you're not playing in VR and doing it in first person, is rough because the camera goes all over the place.
Yeah.
If you hit a wave, at least. But as you said, like the city is beautiful, and then suddenly there is so much content that you have, you can enjoy. It's crazy, and when I play stuff like that in VR, it's almost as good as an actual VR game, a AAA one, because of its content.
And you make a really good point, because when you look around Los Santos, there's like stacked full of people, there's cars moving around, there's people talking, going about their business. It feels like a living, breathing world, and we don't have anything like that in VR right now on this scale. So to be able to experience it, and this is why I'd recommend it, just to walk around and experience what it's like, and maybe get into some fights and shooting and get the police chasing after you and stuff like that, because it's actually really, really good fun. But just be aware that there are some limitations, can be a bit, cause a bit of motion sickness. But if you can get it running on your system, I'd highly recommend it.
Got a question. So, like, are there any known limiters? If you've never played GTA 5 and you are totally into the VR game, you have all the equipment, is there anything that could stop you from playing that game end to end that you know of?
No.
Not now, no. Like, even so, the cutscenes aren't perfect again. Like, they generally move to static points, and your head is the camera. But sometimes they do move. So that can be a bit nauseating if you're not used to it. But generally speaking, you can play the whole game through end to end in VR now, which is pretty incredible. And some of the missions, like where you get to fly a plane, you get to fly a crop duster into the back of another military plane whilst they're in the air, is so awesome, and so much fun. And then further on, like from the vanilla single player, I've been modding the game even further, and I've managed to add full racing wheel and pedal support. So you can drive around cars with a full racing wheel, with full manual gears, clutch, everything. And then I thought, well, how far can I take this? And then I modded it even further with this police mod called LSPDFR, which stands for Los Santos Police Department First Response. And you get to roll around in a police car. It's like going back to my old job. Roll around in a police car. With full gears and pedals and everything, and then you can put the lights and sirens on, and then when you get like a radio call to an incident, you can basically keybind the button to your steering wheel to respond to the call. You've got to get there in a certain amount of time, and then obviously deal with the situation when you're there. And you can arrest people, you can frisk people, you can ask them for ID, you can taser them. It's just
you can taser and frisk people. I'm in.
Yeah, you need to try it.
In that order.
Yeah, you need to try it. It's so much fun. Like
it's just like Mike's old job. He would just go up to people, taser them, frisk them, and then drive off with their money.
Yeah. The rule was taser first, ask questions later.
Damn. But imagine going even deeper from there, because there are these roleplay servers that are running besides the official servers from Rockstar. That allow you to role play too, where you can be a police officer, but then someone else is playing the criminal, or you can be a taxi driver and take someone else that you don't know, a stranger, and have a conversation while you bring them to their next destination.
Wait, hang on. So I thought that there was an inherent conflict with the VR mod and connecting to Rockstar's online game services?
Official, yes.
But
so you can get multiplayer VR supported going?
Third-party servers, Nathan's talking about.
Like third party could potentially work, because the people who are running that are not actively blocking certain things. So if you could, be on the same
running their
line.
own servers, basically, like a Minecraft server. Someone can.
No, I understand the concept of the third party, but is there not like what's the term I'm looking for here? But is there not
anti-cheat thing or something?
Yeah, an anti-cheat layer that checks when you connect online, irrespective of if you're going to first or third-party servers?
Possibly, because I haven't tried it, but you do get a warning if you try to go online. It won't let you, pretty much, because I did it by accident, and it said we won't allow you to go online with these mods. So it recognizes.
It doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. And let's say if it did work, you know what happens if you get banned on GTA? Or like if it's the first time, you're a first offender, as Mike would call it, then what they do is I'm not sure if it's the first or the second time, but they put you back into the game, and then you have to wear this shame hat.
Wow.
So everyone can see in the open world, like, this person is a cheater.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool.
For me, though, I have to say, I had no interest. I had no interest at all in playing any of the missions again in VR. But I did find it pretty cool to just walk around aimlessly and killing people, shooting everything, and stealing cars.
Yeah.
Just like my day-to-day life. But yeah, it is an awesome experience to have something of such scale. But still, like for me, not having motion controls, not a VR game.
Yeah, I can understand why people would feel that way, but certainly I thought Zim would be excited about this because being a racing nut, having that full racing wheel support in a game like this, it is very arcadey, of course, the driving. But I'd be interested if you checked it out to see what your thoughts were, because I just had a lot of fun with it.
I love the, I sit in front of the campfire of Mike's excitement and just enjoy the basking glow for now, because unfortunately my 1080 and my i7 are not going to take this right now, I know. I'll wait until I get done with the move and
So Eric also went into GTA in VR, and he went on a hike. Very peaceful on Mount Chiliad. And then he got eaten by a wildcat.
Imagine that in VR. Wow.
And then someone says, sorry for your Argon loss, Eric.
Rip.
Rip Eric 2011, 2020.
Press F in the chat.
Okay.
2011 I was going to say, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So let's get into some news then. First bit of news this week is about Pistol Whip, as they've got another free track, which they released this week called Akuma. It's another sort of heavy bass EDM track from Cannibalen Records. And this adds up to make the roster of the tracks available in Pistol Whip to 12 now, because they released the High Priestess not too long ago, and this is their second sort of DLC for the game, which is free, which is great that they're supporting the game post-release. I think, they've got a nice community behind this game that really enjoy it, playing it day in, day out, using it as a workout as well, which is great. And I think it's great for the team at Cloudhead Games as well, because they've always been really passionate about VR. They were there from the very beginning, making...
Before the beginning.
Making the gallery, episode 1, the gallery.
One of the first, let's say, I think, games that launched with the Vive as a bundle.
I remember their original... It was like a demo to show off like the controls, and it's like I recently saw I think it was Danny who posted it on his Twitter, like the resemblance with like Boneworks is like unbelievable.
Really,
it's really cool to see, like even then they were already messing with physics and that kind of stuff. So yeah, pretty cool.
That's interesting. But if you're craving even more Pistol Whip content, the team at Cloudhead, they recently tweeted out that they're going to have updates coming every month. Hopefully free DLC content, including probably paid content as well. But they've also got a free new scene coming soon on the lead up to E3 this year. So if Pistol Whip is your jam, you've got plenty of new content to look forward to, and check out Akuma, which is available now.
It's kind of funny because I saw the comment in chat saying like expecting maybe more content. Like, this game's only just out. It's like it really is only just out. They've already done 2 updates, so I kind of feel like the fact that they're committing to regular updates now is very nice. I think it's a great thing as well for the team to have a fixed pipeline, as well of things that they have to kind of come out with. But I like that they've stayed true to themselves as well. Like I'd say that out of all the rhythm beat games, the Audica is the one that I've seen do the most. It's like snaking different music types. Like it's just a bag of mixture, right? Whereas Beat Saber kind of had its own thing for a while, and then they did a couple of like what felt like bolt-on packages that were very different to the core offering, but they were nicely segmented. And I think Pistol Whip until now, all the tracks feel like consistent. Level design, styling, all that. So it'd be interesting to see if they stay consistent throughout that cycle, or do they change it? They mix it.
Because as you said, it's very new. So for now, they don't have to. But in the long run, they do have to change it up. Yeah. If you see with Beat Saber too, like after a while, people are like, yeah, it's another music pack, just another music pack. So you kind of need to come up with some things beyond that. Plus, with Pistol Whip, it's like, every time you do these updates, you can also sell more copies.
Oh God, Nathan! You made a point, and it's a scary point. Pistol Whip 360.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and also cooperative mode or something like that. Like Beat Saber have been experimenting with multiplayer. That would be really cool as well.
I was gonna say, like I've been playing Pistol Whip with my wife. We did the Akuma track together, and I only marginally beat her on that one. And I think that for some reason, like watching Beat Saber side by side is like really engaging. Pistol Whip side by side, for some reason, just doesn't have the same bite, and I don't know why. I think it's the symmetry, something that Roddy was talking about before. But it'd be interesting to have a co-op mode, though, so you could run the track at the same time as someone else. But then you run into what I call the box VR problem of how do you see the other player, or how do you, like, if you're, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, like, 2 players or more playing multiplayer, how do you view others without it being a total mess of ghosts or whatever you would have in there? So
yeah, and I remember when Pistol Whip first came out, because we had a sort of a bit of a debate over which looked better, live or first person, and first person definitely has the excitement, and it makes it more frantic and exciting to watch, whereas live, because the camera's so drawn back, it slows the pace down a lot more. It doesn't look as engaging as exciting, which is a shame.
Like the thing with the mixed reality part of Pistol Whip was that the trailer they made, like Cloud had made, they added all kinds of post-production to it, camera wiggle and certain twitch effects, making footage faster than it actually is to kind of, speed it up. But yeah, I agree, like first person looked better in that sense. But again, it's like the sense of speed that comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be cool if they would do like time only moves if you move. And that would sound and with actually the things coming towards you.
So like a Pistol Whip super hot mashup.
Super hot mashup.
That would be cool.
Wow.
But whilst we're on the subject of beat rhythm games, we also have some news about Beat Saber, because they also launched some free DLC, which includes 3 tracks from Camellia, which Zim mentioned on last week's show. The tracks are called Exit This Earth's Atmosphere, Ghost, and Light It Up. So if you're into music rhythm games, you are literally swimming in content right now, which is great. But another thing to mention is that recently Elon Musk made an EDM track. Did you guys know about this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So like Elon Musk, the guy, he creates rockets. He creates driverless electric cars. Now the creator of EDM tracks as well. Amazing. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out on SoundCloud right now, and it's called "Don't Doubt Your Vibe."
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a good track as well. I like that kind of music a lot, and
it's a good track.
I want to see more from him. It's kind of like when Tom Green started doing music, and it's like, what are you coming out with, buddy? But Elon's just, where is this coming from? He's such a meme.
You have no idea. Yeah, and the thing is, you can't miss it because it's an image of a Cybertruck in front of Mars. So you're onto a winner there. But the funny thing was, when he dropped this track, Yaroslav Beck from the Beat Saber team picked up on it straight away and tweeted out to him, "How about you bring this to Beat Saber?" And of course, the community jumped behind that, so it had a lot of likes on Twitter. So I wonder if that gained any traction or not, and I wonder if we'll see this "Don't Doubt Your Vibe" come to Beat Saber in the future as a DLC track. That would be awesome.
We've had a win before, right? We had the whole Monster Cat Crab Rave getting the 10,000 likes, I think it was, or retweets to be able to bring it in. So I think for this, obviously, you need the artist's consent. So Elon will have to, or his representatives will have to give the nod. But that would be awesome to have it in. I think it would fit. I think it would fit perfectly with Beat Saber.
Imagine you play Beat Saber on Mars, and then the Cybertruck is waiting for you, and then you see Starman flying by, and there are all these things going on that interact with you. I would be down, man.
Yeah, that would be super cool. If Beat Saber can make this possible, then it would be incredible. What a crossover!
But only Elon. Elon just needs to hit the green button, and then we're in for an adventure.
I think there's political problems in this, because think of all the awesome EDM artists who are established 20 years in it. Elon drops this shitty track, and they're picking up on him straight away. I think there will be some sore asses out there if they go with Elon before others. I still think it's the right move. This is the fucking internet. But I think
that's it. Internet culture loves a meme.
Exactly.
And this would become a meme in itself. So
you know what? I have a better deal. Let's say to not make anyone angry, I have a better idea. They just bring Beat Saber to the onboard computer in every car.
Oh God.
Every Tesla. Steering wheel support. But there you go. So you never know. You might be slaying cubes to Elon Musk's tune in the near future. And always remember, don't doubt your vibe.
That's it.
Okay, next bit of news links back to something that Zim mentioned as his highlight of the week a few weeks ago on the show, where he remotely controlled a robot over the internet. Pretty cool highlight. And this is something taking that concept even further. And this is a company based in Tokyo, Japan, called Teleexistence. Cool name, by the way. Teleexistence kind of tells you exactly what you can imagine from the name alone. And what they're working on is a solution that allows a user wearing a VR headset and haptic feedback gloves to remotely control a robot that could be on the other side of the planet. So that's
like Aspire 1, right?
Exactly, but in real life. Yeah, exactly. But the robot is real. So, you're actually controlling it and it's moving through real world environments, doing real things, touching and grabbing real things. So the company have developed a mass production prototype called the Model H, and it features stereo cameras for the eyes, binaural microphones, and haptic sensors in the fingers and hands. So basically, you're looking through this robot's eyes and controlling it in real time, along with the arms and the hands, and you get the haptic feedback sensation that the robot is giving you, which is pretty interesting. Now, the clip, for the audio listeners that can't watch the clip or see it, basically it shows an example of a guy logging in at home with a VR headset and haptic gloves on into a robot that goes into a surfboard shop. And the robot is then picking up a surfboard, and the guy can actually feel the board at home through the haptic gloves.
And the robot kind of looks like the kind of thing that you see in a movie that in the first 15 minutes is like, it's gone sentient.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get to that shortly. But also in the trailer, this guy logs in with his son, and then this is where things got a bit crazy. They were exploring space together. So these robots were actually floating around in space, and apparently we've got a Wi-Fi link directly to them, and that would be possible. But it's just kind of showing you a concept of what would be possible. But like Rowdy rightly touched on, is that there are some other consequences of potentially using this technology, good and bad. Like for the good, I could see some real benefits if someone's like severely disabled, for example, is like bedbound or chairbound, and they could remotely control this robot avatar to go and do the shopping, or
sorry, just linking back to the video, the surfboard shopping, which is great for a robot, which is going to go in the ocean and go.
And Mike, if you can't make it to the show, you can still make it by putting the robot on that chair.
Exactly. But, of course, the bad side is, I've been watching a lot of Black Mirror. What if someone uses this technology to just assassinate someone? Or if you can imagine like an army of these things, like Terminators being controlled by the military, for example.
We've lost control.
Yeah.
We've lost control.
Wait, hang on. Did any of you play this? There's this game that's a lot like this. It's called Robo Recall. And it's about sentient robots that aren't very friendly.
Yeah, so that could happen.
I actually thought, Zim, that you were going to take this to a whole nother level, given your past experience with your successful kind of videos on YouTube.
Successful videos? Like what? Those videos have been scrubbed from YouTube. Those no longer exist on YouTube. Thank you very much.
It's a shame. Someone needs to educate people,
I've got another one planned.
I think Zim should at least try one of these robots, for the greater cause.
For science.
I am very curious to be anywhere with this thing, but they really make it look quite
curious.
They make it look quite sexy, but I do think that personal boundary barriers, like for any human, need to be enforced if you're a robot. Like you can't be going touching people with a robot, and it's just like not cool. Of course, then you got probably remote relationships where it's like, can you hook up with your spouse from afar to get two robots in a factory somewhere? They get just close the doors.
Hook up with their spouse then from a. That's not where the technology is going to get used.
No, maybe not.
Quick heads up: we're not going to be at Oculus Connect 7. There are going to be 4 robots rolling in. It might be hard to even get through the detection part, but I think we can work it out, right?
Someone needs to Photoshop that and use the caption when the squad roll into OC7.
But I can just imagine, that someone would come up to the group, right? Someone would come up to the crew and be like, hey, Rowdy, Nathy, Zim, why are you guys all robots? And they're just looking over at the one that looks like the robot, and they're like, that's just Mike.
Honestly, I think we would be the coolest dudes on the show, though.
I think we need to keep in mind that Mark Zuckerberg has maybe been doing this for years.
That he is a robot, you mean? That he is a robot?
Just imagine we go to OC7, right? We've got our VR headsets on at home, and we're remotely controlling a robot, and then the robot puts on a VR headset. That is like VR Inception, right there.
Even better, like the robots are wearing just a printed cardboard part of our face. So people still know who we are with a little string. So it still feels personal too.
So what you're saying is basically it could have already happened, but we just forgot. Coming to your theaters next summer.
VRception.
So there you go. That's a company called Tele-Existence working with the concept that we could potentially remote control robots with VR technology in the future. Very interesting.
There is a term
in a way.
Yeah, the telepresence term is good, but I do like that kind of remote reality thing, and I think we're going to see more of that coming. And for those who missed the bit, a couple of podcasts now ago that we had, probably 3 back, where I had gotten a chance to drive a robot remotely. Driving a full body robot is awesome, but like, what if you could, like Battlefield style or RTS style, control a whole army of these robots? You know what I mean? Like an RTS, like you could literally have full scale combat. Forget New Zealanders. Let's just push them all into the ocean. Right now we have just 2 armies of robots fighting each other for very expensive, like billionaires, like Musk versus Zuckerberg. They just have an RTS on New Zealand, and we film it as if it was like the new Lord of the Rings. Boom.
Wow. So if you want to learn more about what Zim, has spoken about, like in one of the previous episodes, I think it's the Halloween one.
Yeah, okay. It was the name of it was Isotopium Chernobyl. Isotopium Chernobyl. I'll type it in chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. So that is Tele-Existence. Pretty interesting. Next up, Dr. Beef. Best name. The developer that brought you Lambda 1 VR, the mod that allows you to play the original Half-Life in VR on Oculus Quest, has now added support for the add-ons Blue Shift and Opposing Force. Now, to get this to work, you need to own the original game, but don't worry, the game is free right now on Steam up until Half-Life Alyx launches, so you can get the game for free now. It'll be in your library forever as well, so there's no reason not to do it. It also includes Half-Life 2 and episodes 1 and 2, but they don't work with this mod, so just be aware of that. But Blue Shift and Opposing Force, they're actually paid add-on packs that aren't free on Steam right now. They're both $4.99 in US dollars or $3.99 in British pounds individually, or you can get them both with a discount if you buy them in a bundle with Team Fortress after you've downloaded Half-Life for free, because then that shows in your library as part of the bundle, and you get an even bigger discount on top of that. So it works out about $6 to $7, £6 to £7 for the 2 of them if you buy them together. All you need to do to get this up and running on Quest is, once you've got the game installed, just kind of transfer the game files across to the install directory in your Quest after installing Lambda 1 on your Oculus Quest using SideQuest. So it's pretty straightforward setup.
It's kind of drag and drop. It's actually, I've done it for kind of Quake and Half-Life and a few things.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's a little bit unintuitive if you go through that step is that because you're on, I think you've got a mobile version of the executable essentially, and I don't think you can play with like PC players in multiplayer. I think you can only play with other mobile, so like Android modded version of the game. But you can play multiplayer, which is cool. But now Opposing Force obviously is a single player expansion pack. Back in the day when we didn't even have DLC, it was all disc based.
Yeah, exactly. And Blue Shift, single player DLC as well, right? I think Blue Shift you play as Barney's, like one of Barney's like friends or something, and then Opposing Forces, like you play the military coming in after Gordon, basically, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I wasn't much a fan of Blue Shift, but the AI in Opposing Force was very good, and it feels very oppressive, and like unlike the original Half-Life, which for a certain part of the game, like it felt pretty relaxed up until then you meet the aliens and stuff, and it gets pretty intense. That Opposing Force is an intense thing. You are being hunted, so I recommend it. It's a fun game.
Like imagine the fact that when that AI got made, I was still in my mommy's tummy.
Yeah, I can.
Wow. Yeah. There you go. But I think it's awesome, that we're getting all this like Half-Life stuff that we can play in VR on the lead up to Alyx. It's like
that's true.
Building up the hype for this game.
I think it's an awesome way to do some marketing around it by giving it all for free, and people can get excited. And
yeah, and it's amazing to think that it's actually next month. Like Half-Life Alyx is coming next month.
That's crazy.
Mark, shit! Oh my god! Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I know. When I think about it, it like blows my mind. It's like it feels. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago that it was announced, but
It wasn't.
It was December. Yeah. So, but like, that explains why it's still high in the charts then. It's like 4th or something in Steam sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. And considering a lot of people got it for free with like index purchases and like controller purchases or headset purchases. And actually, whilst I'm talking about index controllers, I should give you a little update actually, because you might remember a few months ago on the show, I mentioned that Pimax were doing like an upgrade plan.
Oh, yes.
Because of the issue with the Sword controllers and their own base stations being like delayed so much that they finally just said, look, if you want to spend a little bit of extra money, you can basically add some more money in and you'll get Valve Index controllers and base stations. And it was called like Upgrade Plan F or something.
Basically like buying out everyone.
Yeah. But I think from my point of view, I was like, well, these Sword controllers, when are they going to happen? Are they going to happen in my lifetime? I don't know. I'm quite happy with the index controllers. I'll go with that. I'll pay the extra, I think it was like $179. And they said they'll be shipping in January. Well, as we know, January has been and gone. And I don't think many people out there have got them, if any. They did say on the Pimax forum that they shipped out some shipments in the US, and Europe and the UK will be coming later in February now. But it's just one of those things again, like these guys, they can't stick to a delivery schedule, or they make promises and they can't keep them. And I think for them, they would have been better just saying like, look, this is an estimated delivery window of like Q1 this year, rather than getting people's hopes up and then again breaking their hopes again by saying it's going to be delayed again. So I just thought I'd give you a quick update that I haven't received them yet.
Even better, this is something I've seen with like, because I like to collect statues. So sometimes they have it on the website and you pre-order it and then it's like Q1, but then they later on update it to Q2. They don't tell anyone, they just change it, but they don't, you know what I mean? But it's like
just one number,
Well, the thing is like the thing is if you don't communicate it that clearly, then I don't know. I'm not surprised though, sadly. No. I wish they did, but
and this is the thing, like even dedicated Pimax supporters at this point are just like, look, because imagine if you didn't buy the Valve Index controllers or base stations yourself, or Vive ones or base stations yourself, and you've literally just had a Pimax sitting there the whole time without any tracking or controller support. You're going to be pretty sick by now.
I understand, and timeline wise, it's a little strange where last year CES they were promoting the controllers, and then this year, or like last year as well, or wait, 2018 CES they were showing off their controllers.
That's right.
In 2019 they show off their new Pimax headset lineup. So but the controllers are still not, so they constantly jump around where they can. It's very strange.
So obviously I'll keep you updated, but I thought I'd give you a little update on that. Last bit of news this week is about the impact of the coronavirus and that it's having on the world of VR and tech in general. And it's pretty interesting. It's also pretty scary as well. Like when you start watching news about it, it's actually pretty terrifying. But as you're all probably aware by now, it's a flu virus originated from Wuhan in China. It's been covered like widely by the mainstream media, so just go and check it out if you want to learn more about it. But as a result of the virus, this is affecting a lot of tech companies. As we all know, China is where the world's tech gets manufactured, right? So huge companies such as Apple, Samsung, Microsoft, Google, and Tesla even have all temporarily shut down production facilities in China because of the virus. But also Oculus themselves, who have manufacturing in China as well, have shut down their facilities temporarily, and have also provided a statement to Road to VR on the matter. Because as we know, around the Christmas period, Quests were very hard to get hold of. I think we said in an episode shortly after Christmas that it was pushed back to like March time, like the back orders. Well, I think they've even stopped taking back orders now, and just says unavailable. So if you want a Quest, like you've got to find a rare one that's still in a store somewhere, or risk the secondhand market, which are heavily inflating the prices now because the demand is much higher than the supply. But Oculus stated that Oculus Quest has been selling out in some regions due to the high demand. That said, like other companies, we're expecting some additional impact to our hardware production due to the coronavirus. We're taking precautions to ensure the safety of our employees, manufacturing partners, and customers, and are monitoring the situation closely.
Wow.
So yeah, it could be even further delays if you're looking for an Oculus Quest, which is a bit of a shame, really.
I was actually chatting with Alvin Wang yesterday on WeChat, and he told me that he's the CEO of HTC Vive, and he told me that that he's like home for 2 weeks now.
Yeah, a lot of employees are working from home. Yeah, you're right.
But I think that's a normal kind of precaution that you take if there's a pandemic or an epidemic outbreak.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a precaution in order to prevent the virus from spreading any further, and I think that's the right thing to do at this point in time. I mean, the incubation period is not that long. I believe it's like 2 weeks indeed, and the virus itself is not as lethal as, for example, other influenza viruses. So,
and it mainly affects like the old and the young, right?
Of course, people with an immune system that has been compromised already, or have an immune system that's not fully developed, like young children. Of course, like those are the kind of people that also become the target of regular flu viruses, like influenza or the H1N1. So, I mean, there's like the media, of course, jumps on this because it's like, it's a hot topic, and it's like, of course, it's a serious kind of thing. It's a serious outbreak. But at the same time, like, I don't think people should over dramatize like what China has done or what has happened before, because we have plenty of viruses here that we should be far more worried about than a coronavirus coming from China.
But like the thing I wanted to say is that because like the Vive team has been home for 2 weeks, they have been exploring more of the let's say streaming service where you can actually have an office in VR and work from there. So that has been more hot than ever before. So a lot of companies got to discover the possibilities of having a workspace in VR and not having to use planes, having to use trains, cars. You can just meet up. So that's like a positive effect I've seen where people are like, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. But because of the virus, they are kind of forced to look into that stuff.
That is a contingency strategy that I think a lot of businesses have yet to consider until something like this happens. And actually, we had a similar effect a few years ago. If anyone remembers looking for like a hard drive or having to pay graphics card prices after the tsunamis and that happened in Thailand and that whole area, it affected us for several years, pricing in the market. And so it's no surprise. It's funny because, Roddy, you mentioned precautionary measures, but the funny thing is if you put maybe a dollar value, whatever currency value for each of the Asian countries affected by these kind of shutdowns or lockdowns, it's going to affect manufacturing probably most heavily, I would think. It's one of those jobs
what I'm trying to say, if the precaution is not taken, then that figure could quadruple.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's wrong to take that precaution. I think it is, but I mean, I think people who don't understand contingency planning don't get that when you invoke that, like that's a cost. Like that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you in like the impact that we're noticing, the time delay to market. But it's also going to cost them in terms of their revenue. Like that's going to be an immediate dent in their annual figures as a business, their bottom line. So but this is life.
Go on, Nathan.
No, you
okay. I was just going to say it's not only affecting production as well, but also events. As the concern rises of people getting infected through traveling. So big, events like MWC, which is Mobile World Congress, which is where like the Cosmos was unveiled like a couple of years ago. Depending on how the virus spread is controlled over the next few weeks, that could really affect a show like that, because companies, a lot of innovation comes from China, and a lot of companies showing new tech are going to be there. So maybe that might get delayed or stop. We just don't know yet. But I guess it's maybe times like this that the tele-existence robot that we were talking about earlier on might actually become useful. You'd be like, well, we can just send him in the hot zone, so to speak, and we'll be absolutely fine.
Why am I having a very distinct flash forward to that little part where Wall-E, that cute little robot from Pixar or whatever, he's like picking up the little trash pile and just moving it over here. Like, I just imagine like that's our future. Like first we're fecking about with robots, and before long it's an inhospitable environment out there, and we're all just stuck in our little cubicles until we go off the planet and have our daily milkshake.
So on a different topic in the chat, Mr. Loto is asking, is Rowdy wearing long john, just like they do in Indian and cowboy movies?
No, I'm not wearing any pants. So
It's just a onesie. Is that what you like? What thinks you're wearing?
Onesie.
yeah.
A long john, long onesie.
I'm just not wearing any pants. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty standard for the show, though. Yeah. So yeah, that is the coronavirus and the impact it's having on tech and VR. So some delays in headsets and stuff like that. But it's one of those things, it's out of everyone's control. We can see what happens. Hopefully everyone's safe, everyone's okay, and we get over it.
Well, you see here, you see a survivor here in the podcast.
Yeah.
Miracles are possible.
Yeah. Although people are staying away from you.
That's
locally,
true.
Right? If they hear that you come from China, then you're like,
yeah, I think people are gonna.
They look at you like you're the outbreak monkey or something.
Yeah, no, they do. Thanks to the news.
Yeah. So now let's hand over to Zim for the latest releases this week. I have no idea again what's happening this week in terms of releases. It's been pretty slow. That's why I've been enjoying GTA and.
I don't know. Like last week was pretty fast to me. Like in terms of the lineup he presented.
Well, let's just say that there's not only one pandemic, but multiple pandemics this week. Yeah, so this is going to be a fun one. All right, so let's start off with Blind Spot VR. So Blind Spot VR. Imagine you're Steve Jobs. Okay, imagine a tight gray turtleneck sweater. That's right, kids. Corneal visual impairment encompasses a wide variety of infectious, degenerative, and inflammatory eye diseases that cause scarring of the cornea, the clear window positioned at the front of the eye. So the scar tissue scatters the light that passes through the cornea, leading to blurred vision or even a total loss of sight. So don't take my word for it. You got to ask our resident Dr. Rowdy. The developers of Blind Spot VR put you in the seat of an aging grandfather with degrading corneas in both eyes. Your job is to drive your grandchildren to school without incurring vehicular homicide.
What? Hold
on. Using dynamic tunneling and fixed foveated blurring techniques, Blind Spot takes you from levels of visual impairment from 5% all the way up to 95% of vision loss. Meaning that while you're playing the game at upper levels of difficulty, you almost see nothing.
Interesting.
This trailer looks so realistic.
Yeah, it looks very nice.
I do find it weird that they put you in a car then, since that's definitely not allowed. But I actually wore one of these devices one time because when my grandfather had a brain infarct, part of his visual system got actually pretty much destroyed, and they had these like devices in order to show like family members and other people how his vision would be like. So there would indeed be like a tunneling kind of like vision, which is very, very disorienting, and if you're prone to motion sickness, that can really induce it because there's so much of the information that just gets lost and you don't see it anymore. It's very bad.
That's good. That's terrible. I have to say that was all a horrible lie. Blind Spot VR has nothing to do with corneas or loss of vision, but I thought it was a fun Kickstarter to wake you all up. So. So what you did see is a YouTube 360 video by AT&T called "It Can Wait," which is a driving tech simulator. All of what I just said was made up, and we're gonna go through the actual trailer now.
They shouldn't put you in a car then, since it's important that people know how that feels if you get tunneling vision.
I gotta say, it's quite impressive that you came up with that.
It's the next level troll from me.
He's so desperate. Like the releases are so bad. There's so much, shovelware out there that he needs to make up his content now. That's how far we.
Because I was looking at this video, I was thinking this looks next level. Like I want to try this out anyway. Cool.
Although I would love to play the game I described, which is basically that you're fighting, vision loss and having to get your kids home without pulling a Rowdy or running over some old grandma while she's crossing the street. But so Blind Spot VR is not about vehicular homicide and corneal degradation. What it is about is it's a mansion-based texting simulator, and this is where they have a commonality. That video I showed you was all about texting in the car. This is about texting in a creepy old feckin' mansion with puzzles about. So it's actually the number one, how would I call it, complaint online about this game is that the majority of the story is delivered through text messages that pop up on your phone while you're exploring this mansion. But if you are into mansion-based texting simulators, you wake up alone in this mansion that you've been living with your father and your younger sister, but something is
all
different.
All of a sudden, your cornea starts to like...
Your cornea starts to... So it's a story-driven VR adventure game that used to be... It landed first on PlayStation last October, and now it has just dropped for Index, Vive, and Rift on the 6th of February. That was this just a Friday just gone, for £20 or $25 by Unlimited Fly Games. So this is basically come over from PlayStation VR, and us PC players can now get access to it.
By the way, you're such a cruel man. Like, first you lie, then you let Rowdy explain it, and then you're like, no, but it's a joke.
Hey,
he was like super like scientific stuff, like this and that, and then you're like, this is just complete bullshit.
I love it because like Rowdy went into a story and everything. It was beautiful. And he gave me just enough time to show the big crash as well. It was great. So if you're an audio listener, goddamn, check out the fucking video. All right. Anyway, I got 2 more gems for you. All right, 2 more gems.
I don't know what to believe anymore, though. You know, what's real?
He's photoshopping stuff now, deep faking VR content.
I was so expecting someone in chat to like pop up and be like, "Hey, he's lying. That's not true. I played that game." Anyway, all right. So, I'll take a deep breath. We've done Blind Spot VR. Deep breath, lads. Deep breath. In, out. Okay? In and out. Now, something relaxing. Let's do Origami Dojo. Okay.
Oh my god.
For Rift and Rift S. This is a free title. If you were ever wondering, what is origami? So origami is a traditional Japanese game where you make things by folding paper, such as beautiful flowers and lovely animals. Now, this is a world exclusive. This is the only VR app how to fold and make origami. Okay? Hey, it's free. You know, feck it. It's free.
Plus, it's a world exclusive. Just saying.
Yeah, so you can get it. This is not available on Steam or Cosmos or any other headset than the Rifts. So, Rift players, enjoy this. This is what you paid for.
I mean, I can appreciate though if you want to learn origami, then doing something like this might actually help you out.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking, and that's why I am wholly serious when I say that. You know, as the first VR origami simulator, this is a great offering.
Wait. So this is PC VR, by the way?
This is PC VR.
So is this one of the first games that Jason Rubin, his new colleague, came up with?
I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. The bar has definitely gone down for Rift and Rift S games because the store is not looking friendly these last couple of weeks. I know we're dry on content, but my God, some of the things getting across are rough. The things I'm showing you are the good stuff. I'm telling you that now. This is not the bad stuff even. Now, hang on. I got one more thing. I got to tell you about this origami app because this has a Japanese website that goes with it hand in hand, right? And I took the bulleted list from that Japanese website explaining the game, and I used Google Translate to translate it. And what I got back, it shocked me a little bit. So I'm going to tell you 3 things here. All right. So first one, this one seemed a little wrong. App to learn, this is the first description of the game, by the way. App to learn how to fold origami for foreigners. I'm glad they changed that on the Steam description. Now, stating the obvious, paper preparation is unnecessary, and origami can be performed many times. So apparently you don't have to reload like your printer or whatever with paper. You can just origami forever. And this one I found a little condescending. No complicated button operation is required. They know our audience, gamers. We don't like that complicated button operation. I love the For Foreigners one. Just to repeat that, because that was the best. App to learn how to fold origami for foreigners. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a shame it doesn't have Dexmo glove support.
That would be cool.
So for those who didn't get a chance to see the little clip we ran of it, basically it's like paint by numbers with your fingers with origami. So it's like move this piece of paper from point A to point B, B to C, like that. Which honestly, if you really want to learn how to do origami and watching an instructional video is difficult. The volumetric nature of it, I think, actually could be helpful. The fact that it's free means you could actually try this out. So as much as I love taking the piss, this is a serious piece. Okay.
Yeah. Funny.
So lastly, and I know y'all Oculus Go haters out there are gonna be teetering at this one, but actually there's a pretty serious, and I've tried this, Oculus Go title that just landed on the 30th of January for $3 or £2.30 from Grizzly Machine called Tail Gunner. And this looks pretty cool. For a Go game, easy to pick up and play. It's like quick aerial combat and it's cell shaded. It looks pretty nifty. So you're basically shooting off the back of a plane, right? So don't like riding on a train backwards? Then this tail turret shooter ain't for you, honey. This is an aerial arcade combat game for Oculus Go, very pick up and play. And it's basically a wave shooter, but a really well implemented one in my opinion. And you get the ability to kind of like bob and weave. You've got wingmen on your left and right, and they can get shot down. So your job is to basically, as the tail gunner, shoot down enemies as they're coming in. You got bombers, you got missiles. There's it looked like 8 or 9 different types of opponents that are coming at you in different types of waves and different types of challenge modes, 10 different challenge modes. But if you keep your wingmen alive, they protect you. You're protecting the plane that you're in. And if you get shot down, you go down into the deep depths of the sea. But I like the fact
the art style is really nice.
Yeah, the art style is like really legitimate. And actually for $3, if you've got an Oculus Go sitting there and you're like, I give it a go. I played it for 15 minutes earlier. I could see myself keep playing that. It's actually a really fun little wave shooter. And it's new, decent-looking content, well-developed. Apparently, the devs were fighting with Oculus for the better part of a year trying to get their artwork okayed. So I wonder if it had guns or something in it, and they couldn't get it through the store or whatever. They've had their game up in various forms on itch for a while, but it is there now released. They originally intended to release it in December before the Christmas launch. So there you go. That's Tail Gunner for those of you who have Oculus Go's.
Yeah, I do like the art style. It reminds me of that sort of Borderlands style, cel-shaded art style, which works really well in VR, actually.
Yeah, smooth is the nice thing. Yeah.
It's like Luftrausers in VR.
Yeah,
that is beautiful. Can you say that once more, Nathan?
Luftrausers.
Thank you. The last thing I have here, just a small bit of quick news in this space, is for those of you who haven't. Who have an itch for Mario Kart type games. There's a game called Touring Karts, which we've talked about before on previous podcasts. Some of you guys have played it. There is a demo now available on Oculus Home. So for Oculus users, if you're interested in demoing the game, this is now just out since Friday. So you can have a quick play of Touring Karts if you wanted to give it a shot.
Nice. This one made me feel a bit motion sick, actually, even though it says no motion sickness. But yeah, it's a shame, really, because I was really wanted to replicate that Mario Kart VR arcade experience at home, and I thought this was going to be the game that does it, because they even added like Vive tracker support, so you could grab items in the air just like you can in the arcade Mario Kart experience, but sadly it just wasn't very good, and I gave up on it in the end.
Well, sounds like you can go back to VR cards then.
So
yeah.
That's it anyway. Actually. That's our run of the week. And just quick recap there if you missed any of those big gems. So that was Blind Spot VR, the fake one. Blind Spot VR, the real one. Origami Dojo and Tail Gunner.
The fake one. Oh my god.
I gotta say, it's getting better because the shark one of last week.
Sharknado.
Yeah, like that trailer, man. I still have like these flashbacks.
Still have nightmares about that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, they play that game.
Shark and drone. I can be a drone now too.
And a flamethrower.
Oh, flamethrower. Yeah, sure.
I love the way it's become a meme. Like which game is going to be the worst game that gets announced as a release game this week.
I like the more fun this gets, the less I look forward to actual good games for some reason.
We have Eric Hartley said that Sharkferno was awful. I tried it.
Oh, took one for the team.
For science. Bless him. Thank you.
Good on you, Eric. Good on you.
Yeah.
You're braver than I am.
Wow. So that is the releases. Let's get into our main topic this week then. And this is all about a headset from a company called Lynx. They're a new small startup company founded by some ex-Star VR employees, actually, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, they're bringing a new headset to market, which I mentioned earlier on, which is a standalone AR and VR headset. Now, it's been a while, actually, since we've had a product called Lynx in the tech world. I don't know if you guys can ever remember the handheld system. Can you remember the handheld system?
Oh, yeah. That's
the
ancient.
Atari Lynx. Did you guys ever have one?
I did not have one. I knew of it, but no.
Yeah?
I got to it
Again, I'm 15 years old. So.
yeah, exactly.
I've never heard of that.
Well, it actually was like it came out of the Game Boy sort of era, so it was a competition for the Game Boy, but it had a full color screen, and that was kind of like the main benefit of it. But I remember playing on one, and they had California games on it, which was pretty dope. But yeah, that is the Atari Lynx, but this is the Lynx R1. That's what they're calling this new headset. And like I said, it can do both standalone. Can we do both VR and AR in a standalone headset? So it's not a tethered headset; it's a standalone device. So interestingly, it's actually one of the first headsets that we've seen that is going to come to the market that's going to use the new Snapdragon XR2 chipset, which we talked about previously on another episode of the podcast. And the Snapdragon XR2, it roughly works out to be about twice as powerful as the chipset currently used in the Quest right now.
Is that the one we announced in like November, December, like the brand new one? Or
yes.
It is? Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And this is going to be the first headset to market which uses it, which is really interesting. And apparently they've been working with Qualcomm for some time on this sort of design. So the XR, the R1, Lynx R1, it has a flip-up display with a sort of halo strap design head strap with built-in stereo speakers. It's got a built-in battery, which is interesting because they've placed it at the back of the headset. In the halo strap to act as a sort of counterbalance. So one of the common complaints, of course, with the Oculus Quest is it's quite front heavy because all the gubbins and the battery is included in the front. Whereas, Lynx have sort of said, well, we'll take that criticism and feedback from the Quest and incorporate the battery in the back to sort of balance things out a bit, which is a smart sort of design choice.
I'm not gonna lie though, looking at this headset, it makes me think of that telepresence robot again. Like when people put it on, like holy heck, that thing looks creepy though. Like, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but
because the eyes,
it really looks creepy.
The location of the eye, the lenses, the cameras look like eyes.
My first reaction to it is I do not like hinge headsets. I don't like headsets with a hinge because it's too weak, and it doesn't give me the right comfort fit on my face.
A gap, huh?
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. It's not easy to get snug against your face. That's the thing, light leakage, and just the general strength of the headset as well on that hinge. Long term is going to be the place where it fails.
Yeah, and I definitely found that with the HP Reverb, which is that sort of flip up display, and I think developers love it. But generally sort of gamers and consumers don't. I think that's the general sort of idea behind it. But this headset, it features 6 cameras on board. It's got 2 black and white cameras for 6-off positional tracking, which are on the sort of lower front. And the tracking system, it has to use world anchors for tracking. So although it doesn't go into detail of what they are, I would imagine it will be like some sort of like
large metal
QR code reference type thing, or some sort of item or IR tracker or something that you need to place that's static in your play space for it to have an anchor point as reference.
Right. So it's not doing intelligent anchors. It needs something fixed. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really give you much detail about it, but it says it uses world anchors. So I'd imagine you need something to be placed into your play space for it to work.
So why do you think they decided to use that?
I think it's just difficult. Inside-out tracking is hard. I think that's and this is a startup company, and they have developed some real next-level stuff, which I'll go into shortly. But you've got to make some sacrifices along the way somewhere. You just can't be an Oculus Quest competitor overnight.
But with software, you can learn it to track. Or is that not possible anymore if you start?
Not with the system that they've implemented. So I guess that's one of the sacrifices they had to make. It's 6 off, but like I said, we don't know the full details of what these world anchors will be.
Also, from looking at the trailer, it kind of looks like they're also making like custom skins for it. Like
Different colours and stuff.
it had like a red, white, red one. That was really neat, I think.
But do you think those are custom skins, or do you think they're just different colors that they're
Models.
manufacturing, like different models? Yeah. Because I think that's really smart. I've said that before, right? I've talked about the pink headset and the person who only wants pink everything. I think that like whoever can capitalize on that soon enough with a half decent headset is going to capture that market and could get people who follow them. Just like, when you capture kids coming out of university, you're like, I'm going to be your first bank, and then fast forward 25 years, you still got their mortgage or whatever. It's the same deal here. Like, if you can get someone into your ecosystem trusting your brand and deliver a half decent experience, you don't necessarily have to be the market leader. And that's why things like that, those little unique selling points, can make a big difference. This is a really interesting headset. I think, Mike, you've made a great point there about not oversimplifying the difficulty there is in this form of tracking. Like, what Quest does is difficult, and to do that on a mobile processor is doubly difficult. And the amount of research labs that they've got with very intelligent people signed on and some world leaders in that space leading, that's how we've gotten what we've gotten. And what have we gotten out of Quest so far? Very stable tracking over just the last 1 year for the Rift S and the Quest, and hand tracking, and that's amazing. But that wouldn't have gotten there if we didn't have a mountain of people working towards it. And for a startup to get anywhere close, I think cheating the system by using, what did you call them? World tags?
World anchors.
World anchors. That's smart. That's just smart, because otherwise you're going to spend a third of your budget or more, just on solving that problem.
Yeah.
Save it for the next version, right?
I just looked at the website, but they're not selling, at least at this point, like different colors. It's just a pre-order that is on there now.
Makes
for
sense.
1499. So it's enterprise only, I assume.
Yeah.
1499, 1,500 quid.
So the guy who started this company is only 25 years old, and they're based in France. So it's again like a different area where this whole thing comes from.
Come on, Nathy, hurry up. We need a headset. Let's go.
So, like I said, the headset has 6 cameras, 2 black and white cameras for 6DoF positional tracking. It also has 2 IR cameras inside the headset for built-in eye tracking, and also 2 RGB cameras on the front for full stereo pass-through AR functionality and hand tracking support. And the hand tracking is important here because it doesn't ship with any controllers. So this is just for hand tracking applications, it seems. The headset
hand tracking could be maybe Ultra Leap technology.
It's built in.
Yeah, it's built in. Okay.
Yeah, built in. Yeah.
Sorry, built into the chipset then. The Qualcomm chipset has it.
Yeah, using the cameras. Yeah,
exactly.
So they developed the hand tracking themselves as well.
It seems that way. Yeah.
That they're working together with a different company.
They didn't mention it. No. The headset charges by USB-C and provides up to 2 hours battery life. But one of the really unique things about this headset, which really stood out for me, is the optics. The Lynx themselves are calling it light folding optics. So instead of a traditional Fresnel lens like we see in most sort of VR headsets today, or with the index, for example, that stack them and sort of canter them slightly to increase the field of view, what Lynx have done is they use a 4-fold catadioptic free-form prism. So there's images of this around on the internet, but it basically looks like a prism that's got kind of 4 ridges and then like a divot in the center. And the reason why they have this divot in the center is that that's where they behind that divot they placed the IR camera for eye tracking, and it's directly in the center of the lens. And this is why they call it like light folding optics, because the 4 prisms basically fold the light from the display to basically make the center of the lens invisible to the eye, so you don't see the camera or the CMOS of the eye tracker. It's invisible to your eye. But the way that the display renders it is in like 4 different segments, and the lenses fold those 4 segments into a single image, which your eyes will actually see.
That's quite cool.
I've never seen lenses like this in a VR headset before, so it's very impressive technology.
Is it also by the bending of the light that they managed to get a bigger field of view? Do you know?
So the field of view is still 90 degrees, similar to what we already...
Okay, but maybe in order to get that 90 degrees that they do some light folding as well to get to that?
I don't think so. I think the general reason behind it was so they could have this really accurate eye tracking camera that looks dead center into your eyeballs rather than being offset, which is what a lot of other companies are doing right now. That was their kind of design choice around that. In terms of display, it's a 1600 by 1600 LCD panel, each eye, running at 90 hertz. So pretty high resolution, standard sort of refresh rate and standard field of view in terms of what we know already. But when you sort of think about AR headsets, particularly HoloLens, Magic Leap, their field of view is generally much smaller. You're talking like sort of 40 degrees up to sort of 60 degrees, and that's because of the way the optics in those headsets work, in that you're basically looking through a piece of like glass, or the display is being like projected straight to your eyeballs, whereas this you're looking through the cameras, which is then being portrayed on the displays of the headset. So it's pass through AR rather than true AR, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's still a very, as you say, it's a very intriguing design, and it'd be very interesting to see, like, do they have this patented, or is someone else going to pick up that same technology and use it in their own designs? Are we going to see this? Because it logically it sounds like a good culminating exercise to sidestep a problem that otherwise you have a physical device in the way, and that's a problem. And they've kind of found a smart way to get around that. It seems like other manufacturers would want to use the same trick.
Yeah, potentially. I would imagine they've patented the lens design because it's so unique. Like I said, I haven't seen it before. So maybe they could potentially manufacture that for other companies in the future, maybe. I don't know. Or, if Lynx becomes big enough, that'll be their IP,
I know that
their unique selling point.
Is the Pico? I think they also use some light folding lenses, though.
Okay.
So I'm not entirely sure. But, I mean, the technique could be different, of course, the way that they use light folding.
But yeah, so the interesting thing with this device, of course, is that, it's a VR and an AR headset in one. They call it a mixed reality device. Other people would say, is it an XR device? There's a big debate of what's a mixed reality headset, what's an AR headset, what's an XR headset. I don't know what you guys think about that, because there's a lot of confusion around this sort of term and the names surrounding these devices at the moment.
I think I have a simple, this goes for every word battle ever, which is language is like Gettysburg. The field will be bloody, but whoever walks off of it is the winner. And what I mean by that is you choose the language you want to use. Language evolves. Like, whatever you want to use, it doesn't matter. Use it, and then just convince everybody. It's a popularity vote in the end, because then the people who are still surviving 100 years saying your word, they're the winners.
Best example is like the pancake reference. It's an actual thing now.
I hate that. I've always hated that, but I have adopted that as well.
You have adopted that.
Yeah.
Unwillingly, I have wielded my
For me personally, it's just VR AR. Mixed reality for me is a brand name from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Although depends on the conversation, depends on who I'm talking to. If they want to refer to it as mixed reality, I'm fine with that, or XR or whatever. But for me, or to explain to someone else in an easy way, it's VR AR.
Yeah, and the same as this. This is
AR.
This is a VR headset with pass-through.
Yeah.
Like advanced pass-through, but pass-through. AR to me would be probably similar to what we've talked about on previous podcasts, which is you're taking reality and overlaying like a GUI, very much like Minority Report. Like that's advanced AR in my opinion. When they start to mix these two, obviously people are getting into this folding concept. Folding VR and AR together to form a single headset that can do both capabilities. I'm like Nathan. I look at them as separate functions. Mixed reality, to me, is kind of a term I'd throw in the bin. The only thing I use it for is to refer to content that's created where you take somebody and you overlay on them the game with elements that makes it look like you're in a VR game. That's it. Mixed reality videos, that makes sense. Everything else jump in.
The mixed reality term has nothing to do with VR. It has more something to do with AR than anything else. Like augmented reality is pretty much a term that is the same as mixed reality.
Yeah, like for me, when I think of mixed reality, I think of Live. Like mixed reality content.
That was the first.
And then Microsoft came in and confused everyone by calling their headsets mixed reality, even though they only did VR.
I use
now you've got
another
XR.
term. Yeah, so XR is what? It's just everything under the sun?
This is the thing, like you could say AR is augmented reality, VR is virtual reality, but what is XR? Like I don't even know what that actually stands for.
Well, I mean, if you come from like a mathematics background, then X is usually the variable you need to fill in. So I would indeed like say like X can be everything then, as long as
all encompassing.
As long as the second term is reality. So it could be augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality.
Oh, that's a very good answer. Yeah.
Reality.
So on Wikipedia, it says, I actually had to Google like XR, but it says that it means like extended reality. Okay. It's a term referring to all real and virtual combined environments and human-machine interactions generated by computer technology and wearables.
Because it could also encompass what we were talking about earlier, which is like remote reality or this kind of telepresence concept. You know, all of that under one term. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. Have an umbrella term, but it's not very useful to us today.
I think from now on we should just all use matrix terms. Like
Sounds
starting now.
All right. What's your favorite matrix term then, Rowdy? What are you thinking of?
The Neo.
The Neo.
It's like if you look at sometimes how like headsets get named, it's so like stupid. Where it's like X this or R this or VR 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like give it a nice code name.
Red pill, blue pill.
Especially if it's for consumers. But even enterprises might struggle with that, I would say.
Yeah. But this is like an enterprise headset, and like Rowdy said, the Lynx R1, you can pre-order it today, by the way. It costs $1,500 and will ship around summer this year. So not too long to wait, really. But it's designed and aimed for enterprise, medical, and military applications. Although they did touch on some gaming during their keynote. They said they're partnering with a gaming studio. They didn't say who it was, to make a game for this device that utilizes both VR and your AR real-world surroundings to incorporate both of those functions in a single game.
If it's Magic Leap, then I'm out.
I was imagining Nokia Snake, but done in an AR format. So it's just like you just see the snake going around in volumetric space, coring through apples.
Pac-Man in VR.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
No, but what you're saying is like they don't make a game for, let's say, gamers, but it's more maybe for the Unreal Engine or to kind of
as a concept, yeah. Because like this is the thing, they don't have any content right now
to kind of show what the engine is capable of in combination with their headset.
Yeah, it's just a headset. We don't even know what tool set they're suggesting developers use, whether it's Unreal or Unity or whatever. Or but like I said,
for all we know, it could be this little rock dude throwing rocks at you, and you need to like dodge them, right?
Chuck rock.
Oh, don't even start back at that.
Chuck rock.
But this is pretty still exciting. Like it's the first headset on that chipset from Qualcomm. So that's the exciting part. The fact that out the gate already with a production headset. So that's cool.
Yeah, and then not only that, also the fact that we see some standalone activity.
Standalone. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me here is that it's a standalone headset. We're slowly moving away, and for a small startup, it's a big risk to take. But I think they could be they could be onto a winner here with their lens design and unique concept, and I wish them best of luck. So
battery position is probably the most aggressive thing they're doing in that package. But I'm a little bit worried about the rated battery life of 2 hours, because typically companies will say, they'll give a battery shelf life, and generally speaking, the actual real life performance of that is less. So if the real life performance of this thing is an hour and a half when it's not tethered, and there's no ability to kind of tether it to a PC or whatever for PC VR use, you can only use it as a tetherless device, and that makes it difficult. Like, do you really want a battery sitting in the back of your head and having it tethered to a battery pack on your waist?
If it's got like a decent enough cord, potentially, it wouldn't be a problem. But maybe that will be an option. We just don't know yet. But I think it's an interesting concept as a headset, and although it won't be like coming to consumers anytime soon, could be a roadmap in the future for them to make a consumer headset in the future.
Yeah. I saw people in chat talking about kind of Quest 2, and it's kind of a little bit like, Yeah, could Quest 2 happen? Now that this headset's announced for summer, it's like, could Quest 2 happen in the next, year? Or year and a bit?
The more I think about it, the less I think it's likely to happen. I'd love there to be a Quest Pro, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think there might be some accessories maybe that Oculus released, like in terms of a new head strap or a better audio, like their version of the Vive Deluxe audio strap. I think that would be smart.
See, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. If I was in Oculus's shoes now, I'd do exactly what Apple does. Every year release a new version of your product. They're selling forkloads of it. It helps them because the thing is, it's expensive for anyone who's in a tech industry. It's expensive to get old, outdated equipment, chipsets, all that stuff, because it goes end of shelf life, all that kind of stuff. And already they've shown an interest in turning over faster. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard of a Quest 2 in the next year. I really wouldn't.
I mean, hearing is a different story than actually bringing it to consumers. Yeah. Of course, hearing is gonna maybe happen. But the thing is, the real question is, do you think we're gonna have users who are gonna use the Oculus Quest 1 and then the Oculus Quest 2, or is it gonna be one is out of business, and we're going to move slowly to the next?
No, definitely never.
They won't do that.
It'd be backwards compatible for
sure.
That
would be stupid.
Yeah, it would be stupid. But I think the biggest issue for right now, and as we've highlighted on this podcast with the releases this week, is that really the content is the most important thing right now, not hardware.
There's more. There is almost no content.
There's loads. There's at least 3 quality titles hitting every week.
Like if you like that, this is a conversation I had with Mike. Like if you look at the Walking Dead, like the impact it had, and also how mainstream it went, not only in the VR bubble but also outside of that. And then you look at 2019 in terms of games that came out. There are almost no games that reach that level of hype or excitement. You know what I mean?
Asgard's Wrath.
Yeah, but it's you can count it on maybe 2 hands, and that's it.
For what? Sorry, you mean for coming up this year, or what do you?
Both this year. Yeah, if you think about games coming out this year, what we've got to look forward to, of course, Half-Life Alyx, which is the huge big hitter. We've got Medal of Honor as well.
It's like what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is you have indie, but then above that you have a different kind of genre, and
it's a much smaller market still. Even. If you look at the general gaming market, there's not a new GTA dropping.
No,
there's not.
But you have seen the impact of the big titles. What happens with the VR market when they come out?
Of course, yeah, it's true.
But all we're saying is it just feels a bit empty right now in terms of stuff coming out.
I don't know. Saints and Sinners only came out 1.5 weeks ago. We got Half-Life Alyx coming out next month.
Yeah, but look at PC VR.
Asgard's Wrath, but PC gaming, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but Asgard's Wrath is a PC game, right? And
you mean only for Quest? Only for Quest?
For Quest? No. It's with Quest, it's a different problem. It's the quality control that's going on. But with PC VR, as Zim just said with his releases, it's what the heck is going on? Yeah. And that's not first Steam was the only one that had the problem because of the whole green light system that they kind of threw out of the window. But with Oculus, it's they Jason Rubin left last year as a head of product
content
exactly. And now how is the new guy called again?
Mike.
Mike.
Oh
my God! But how are you going to differentiate yourself if you're ever in a restaurant together? You're like, hey, Mike.
But he's in charge of content now, Quest, of course, but also PC VR, I think. PC VR it's what's going on?
Yeah.
And then in the meanwhile, of course, Walking Dead is super popular and stuff like that.
It's Q1 though. It's Q1 still. I mean, this is always a dead zone. And the other thing is
yeah, but last year was also a dead zone.
Specific headsets. The thing is, content delivery is not going to be at this stage of the life cycle consistent.
But I still don't get the issue. What do you mean with PC VR? Is Saints and Sinners not PC VR?
No. It's the quality of VR titles that meet the potential of the actual headsets they're selling.
Like that. Yeah.
If you go to Oculus Home. If you go to Oculus Home right now, you start scrolling on new releases, you're going to see a lot of shuffleware, guaranteed. And that is not subpar with the actual product they are selling. That's why Zim made the joke of hey, this is what you paid for.
Yeah, exactly.
That kills kills the excitement, and then you feel undervalued as someone who bought the product.
But this is what going back and squeezing the extra value out of things that exist, modding, that type of stuff, is a great way to get into stuff that you've missed, that you need to catch up on. If you're new in the last 2 years, there's a shed ton of really quality stuff that you have no idea about. You need to do your homework on and go find. There's a number of ways to get that. But like there was a lot of VR content for you. Irrespective of your headset.
Content in itself is a problem because I mean I can play Pavlov for like still like years to come probably, and I won't complain about it. But I do agree with like, you know, with the kind of new content that is coming to the platform, that the bar has been, you know, quite low.
It's like the thing is, I'm talking about responsibility as the, you know, the ones that are selling the headset with the content.
Like what Sony do, right? Yeah. Like their state of play is great because they go like highlighter on the things that are coming. Keep people informed.
And I think like Jason Rubin did a great job in terms of what he, you know, invested into. Of course, the new guy still needs to kind of roll out his plans, but it's like, come on, this looks super unprofessional from the PC VR side of things. If you look at your platform, it's a mess in terms of the games you're trying to sell to people. You're trying to sell shovelware. Yeah. And that's bad on itself because you spent just like so much money on a Rift S.
Yeah, it used to be hidden, didn't it? Like that kind of shovelware.
Well, they tried to kind of hide it a little, but now because the Quest had so much attention, it kind of shifted. But I was hoping that after the Quest being out for 6 months, developers would kind of shift also back to PC VR. But yeah, if you look at the content that is going, and then you have, as you said before, like Death Lab and other titles not even putting the effort into making a PC version anymore. You kind of see, and that's why I usually recommend people to get a Quest or something standalone, because that's where the content lies. That's where the interest of most companies lie as well, and not in the PC VR section, not on Oculus Home at least.
We've certainly seen that shift, you know, of dedication and interest, you know, from Oculus in terms of their devices. You know, like the Rift S, we still don't know if hand tracking is coming to Rift S.
Another example that I can give is that, like Defector, Lone Echo 2, and some other titles, Oculus has been constantly like waiting with bringing them out because they don't have much. So they're trying to kind of, you know, bring something out in the summer, maybe something in the winter, and that's it. But they don't even have that much. These are like kind of like the leftovers they invested into.
Although I remember them saying that they've invested more now than they ever have done before in new games. It's just that they haven't announced them yet. So we just need to wait until they announce them. Maybe they've got like a dozen great titles for us to look forward to that are all going to come out, you know, by the end of the year. But it's just a question we just don't know yet, you know, so... but I think, you know, now's a great time to take any questions from the chat. If you've got any questions for us about any of the topics that we've discussed this week, whether it be like about the Lynx or about Half-Life, Opposing Force, or the remote presence tele-existence thing that was pretty funny, then just chuck them in the comments and we'll try and read a couple of them out. And I'll just remind you about the show times. So just a reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube and Twitch. Catch the show uploaded on Facebook as whole episodes in the future. We're not live streaming there anymore. You can also catch the show in VR using big screen. A lot of people are using it to check out the show. I know gaming science teacher really enjoys checking out the show in big screen sometimes, so shout out to her. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. Also check out the audio version that Rowdy works really hard to make really nice for your ears on your commute or your travels. You can listen to the show there. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Nathan always like reminds me at the end.
Wow, man. We've saved we've cut the show 17 hours shy of our normal finish time. Good job, Mike. Good job.
Yeah, you can thank me later.
Nice and tidy this week. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let's talk about Left 4 Dead. Oh no, wait, that's not gonna happen. Team Fortress 3 in VR.
I'm not biting this week. No way.
Okay. Oh, we have a good question actually from 86 the Mad Hatter. He said, if you were to choose between purchasing The Walking Dead or Asgard's Wrath, which one would you guys pick?
Oh,
that is a really difficult choice.
I can make an easy answer for me is The Walking Dead, just because I'm more of a shooter kind of guy. So I would go for The Walking Dead.
I'm gonna say Asgard's, because Asgard's has so much polish. Like literally I hate Asgard's for the 125 gigabyte hell it has on my SSD. Get the feck off my hard drive. I'm going to get you finished soon. But the game is amazing. I have been slack-jawed and gawking scene by scene. You do need a good PC to run it, but when you get that thing running smooth, that is... And it's not that it's not well optimized or anything. It's just very hot, like rich environments, very rich textures. I haven't beaten the game yet, but I feel like there's a lot of depth there. So that's my
For me,
that's my vote.
I'm with Zim on this one. I'm also, although I love The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, I do think that considering the amount of content that is present in Asgard's Wrath, the side missions, all of that stuff, I think I would choose that one.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I would say Asgard's Wrath, even though I do love Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. I think, it depends what kind of person you are. If you really like that long-winded story, the Asgard's Wrath clinches it for that. But if you love that first-person shooter, scrapping with zombies, then of course go for Saints and Sinners.
Both amazing.
But they're both excellent games.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This is like choosing a favorite kid. In fact, I think I'm going to get Karen and I busy, and we're going to have 2 more kids. I'm going to call one of them Asgard's and one of them Sinner.
There you go. You have to choose.
So Mark in the chat says, just woke up. It's 6:49 a.m. in Melbourne.
Ooh.
And he will watch the majority of this podcast on replay.
Nice.
He says, love this shit. Love all of you lads. Then we have Samsung Deutschland also tuning in. Thank you, Samsung Deutschland, for tuning into our show. It's a big honor. And they say, the whole team, whole Samsung from Germany, the whole team is now watching. And they say, we thank you for the short conversation and wish everyone a nice day here.
Wow.
If you, by the way, want to sponsor us with like a nice screen on the back.
You've got a big enough screen as it is.
From Deutschland, then, we're in.
And also, we want to know about the new headset that everyone's talking about, in terms of like leaked patents. So this Firefly headset that, we don't really know anything about yet.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if they will, but it's already nice that they're already starting to watch now.
True.
Oh, they've been watching the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. That is the F.Reality podcast this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been episode 127. We'll be back next week at the usual time, of course, with some more VR, AR, and MR news to brighten up your weekend. Until then, we hope you have a great time in VR. Take care, and bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See ya.